Welcome back, everybody. Here we are, standing in the field yet again, and I've done some things. I want to show you some things, and we've also got some big things planned. Just a lot of things around the place today. So how about we get straight into this episode? First of all, place is looking good, as per usual. It's going to be looking much better after this, I guarantee this. With the plans for today, hopefully, when I say hopefully, I'm pretty confident in what they're going to do. Are going to be looking very, very good. But before we go any further, last episode, I did do something. And I didn't like it. You guys didn't like it. I kind of just, the more I looked at it, I was like, you know, this thing is really, really not working. We fixed it, I think. Tell me what you think, actually, of the fix of the two silos. I do agree that they were a bit over the top. I was trying to make them a bit more interesting than just your plain average things. I think this is kind of like a way in the middle, I hope. It's still a little boxy over here, but, you know, we'll leave them for now. We might have to come back at a very, very later stage to go ahead and get them to work. Now, how about we get going with the stuff today that we want to do? I thought I'd just quickly get that out the way, show you guys what's going on there. And this is what we're doing today. And I guess the plans for the next little bit as well. So what we've done so far, if you guys are new, if you guys haven't seen this place, you've missed out on a whole chunk of an area. What we're going to do is we're going to be slowly but surely getting this field moving out all the way as far as that, probably, to be honest, maybe even further. It's going to be a very, very large field. If this wasn't large enough, it's going to go much bigger. And what we are doing today is we're going to be moving this field up this way. But it's going to be a bit different because we're going to be doing something along these lines here. A field that has already been harvested. All these bales are all put up into little bales by, I think that's a combine harvester. I'm not 100% sure. I've got to double check myself on that. But something like that, that'll be doing that. And eventually we will be making the machine that is harvesting these things. So we've got a lot of cool things planned. But then the other thing, which you may have noticed by now, is this big, ugly river, which we are doing. And that's going to take a bit of time, and it's going to take a bit more thinking than just plopping down a big funnel and letting water go down that way. I want to do some cool things to it, and I think it'll be a great thing to step into and mess around with before the update to Aquatic comes around, you know, 1.13 with all the new blocks, all the new mobs, and also, of course, the ones that are in the water. Very important. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and make a river that will eventually be able to be a home to a lot of fish, and it will look good, considering, like, this is just something I've been wondering, actually. May as well quickly discuss why I think it'll be cool. There's so many rivers in Minecraft that become like this, almost. Even though I think this is technically, yeah, it's a mega tiger. But there's many rivers that just aren't very big, and I don't think they would actually do very well in terms of being a home to fish. So maybe we'll have to go ahead and do our own ones. This one here, for instance, I've made this one, I think, 2 blocks higher than it should be. We're still busy with it, but that should be able to take fish. A lot of them won't. So that's one thing we do definitely want to get out the way, is start getting our rivers ready for fish. And not only that, of course, we're going to be redoing them in general, just to be updated with when 1.13 comes around. We do our own sort of thing. And of course, we will not be restarting. So that's why we're going to have to redo all of our own stuff. So here is the plan for now, is we're going to go ahead and try and see how we can go around texturing this floor so that it's not all the same path block. I'll do a big chunk and I'll show you what I'm talking about with it all just being path block like this. I think it actually doesn't look bad, but we've got path block, and I've mentioned this before. If you have a look at here, this is extremely dark. That is very dark. It changes according to what blocks are around it. If this block over here, because these are transparent blocks, if I do that, you can see that lights up there, lights up there, lights up there, goes a bit brighter, again, again, and again. So that's the way these things work, and I think it's a great way of us being able to mess around with the way it looks. And we can also use, so obviously we'd have to use other blocks in it as well, but we can also go ahead and use some of the new blocks when, of course, 1.13 runs around. Although, as I say, I do want to play with those blocks. I'm super excited for that update, but I don't want to be putting everything down ready for us to go onto 1.13 and have everything planned for us to do. And I think it should look good in the version that we're playing, 1.12. I think that's the important thing to do, you know, make it look good for us right now, and in the future, it can look even better. That's the plan. And the plan is, of course, when it does roll around, some of the stripped, I think it's stripped oak would look pretty good in here. In fact, I wouldn't mind just trying an oak log just by itself. Do we have any that I could just steal from somewhere? I guess I could be sneaky steal some from here. Let's see if we get lucky. Oh, wait. A drop. I'm actually going to start making little pieces for me to drop down, just to make life a bit easier while walking through these fields. And also it's fun to just walk through the field itself. So can I grab that? I promise I'll bring it back. And I want to see what this looks like, because the stripped oak, as far as I'm aware, has got the same color as the top of the oak here. I'm fairly certain, so I'd like to give this a go. I've never actually tried this before, but this could even be just something interesting. And grab that. No, it won't work. In fact, yeah, no, it definitely won't, because it'll always just have this dark outline around it. Yeah, I think when it does come around, maybe it's the spruce or something that'll look very good. I think that will be good for us to mess around with and get a few things done. So let's just go a little bit more with this. We'll grab that. And that is the silk touch one. Yep, perfect. I've been using another one to dig up all the podzol, which has actually taken an incredibly long time. It's taken very, very long, and I'm also removing a bit of that mountain on the other side there. But taking away podzol takes so long, because you got to tear it up and then change something else, because of course change it to some dirt. So that's why we've got ourselves a non-silk touch one, which is it's taken a pounding. I keep having to repair it with diamonds. I guess it gives us a reason for diamonds again. So let's fly off here and see what this area looks like with a larger part of it covered. Come on, tree, stop me over here. That's perfect. All right. So that over there actually transitions very nicely color-wise. So what we need to do is we need to work a way of getting in some more sorts of things around the floor. And one cool thing, of course, is the fact that there's not going to be a lot of grass around, because we're destroying the grass as we do this. So we could do stuff like this. A bit of dirt, a bit more here, and then we can get some, I know I've got some coarse with me, yeah. Get some coarse dirt in as well, and actually texture the dirt up just a little bit. You see? Things like that, and we can maybe drop one more over here, and another one in over there. In fact, that's actually not a bad way of just making the dirt. I just have to do that. So let's go step away and see how this looks. Besides that, I'm sure there's some other cool things that you could maybe think of. Ways, oh yeah, that does look good. That does actually look really good. So ways of trying to create little paths of where the rows where these things were all planted. I was thinking of actually doing it with this field, is creating little rows, but I don't think that will work very, very well. So that's the one thing we're doing today. There's another thing which we are doing today, and that is getting a path to the silo and working out these silos, getting them involved in this, getting them ready to be used in the event of this place being harvested. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead, get this path running from around about here to there, and then we're also going to be running a path along this way across the river eventually. There's a bit of a problem just with the color, but you know what? It's not that big of a deal. Also, by the way, this rock, I've been asked a lot about this rock, and I've mentioned it a few times. We will be coming to it probably very, very soon, in fact, because it's starting to bug me as well. So you're not alone. We will get it. But currently, I think this area has definitely improved with that extra little piece there, creating a bit of a difference here. I do want to maybe use this concept that we've got of like the flat ground over there. If we can use that a bit more around the place to try and get this part to maybe be a bit more interesting, we will look into it. But I feel like right now, this actually looks pretty good just to be separate. Although I'm not 100% happy with it, but you know what? That's where we're going to be working it down, trying to fix this up a little bit. So if you've got any suggestions for perhaps textured blocks or something to put in here, or maybe some things to just put around to distract from it, I'm certainly going to be looking out for that, because that will be extremely useful. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and start a little bit of a path that will come from around here over to there. And I want this to have a slight curve in it. So coming from around here, going down this way. Do I actually have space? Not a lot. That's kind of a pity, because we're going to get a lot of seeds and a lot of wheat. But I think we'll be alright. We'll get it before it despawns. Or if not, I mean, we've got so much of it recently. But there we go. So path sort of along these lines, and this is where we just have to go ahead and work out a way of getting it to be a bit more, yeah, curved like that. Perfect. That's fine. Wonderful. All right. So let's fly off and see what this looks like. Yeah, that's a correct shape, sort of. We can work with that. And then what we're going to do is, so that's obviously a fairly simple path like these. So we won't go into too much detail there, but around here, from this path over here, I want this to also go down and then carry on with a path around this way. Now we've got the interesting part, because what's happening is we've got these paths around here, which are made of path blocks, and path blocks are making up another thing here. So what I think will be kind of cool is to go ahead and just make this path from blocks around the path, if that makes sense. So it'll be a kind of interesting way of doing it, and I'm not too sure how it's going to work, but it's certainly worth a try. So if we can do something like this, where the path goes along, and it'll be through a combination of these blocks here, controlling where you look and where you think the path is. But I think this could be an interesting way of doing it. So let's just go ahead, do that. Maybe some there. Just temporary sort of stuff. I don't want to actually get rid of what I just put down there. So I might just, yeah, I might just do something like that. And there. So checking out the shape first. And by the way, I've gone through so many rockets today. I've already restocked a stack and I'm already down to that. So yeah, down there. That'll give you the impression that it's a path. And we have to be subtle with this. This is where it's also a bit more interesting, is we can't go too crazy with these paths, because of course if we do, it's gonna really ruin the area, I think. So if we can do something like that, maybe something along these lines here, maybe there, and maybe also a bit of grass around these, because when you have things like this that can't be cut, a bit of grass would get put around there, for instance, just wouldn't be able to be cut, and also maybe a few things of wheat would be good there as well. But it's kind of a weird thing. I don't know why we've decided to do something so strange, being me, but it has been a very weird build, this one so far. So maybe I'll get a bit of this away, and maybe that one there. That's looking like it might be a slight bit out of place. So there, and we will come around and fix up the worst possible thing that exists. Also here, this over here, right there, well, exists in parts, that is. We'll get rid of this stuff here, like this, with the good old diamond hoe, and that's actually been the best way of getting all this dirt around the place fairly easily, without having to dig stuff up and put stuff back or anything like that. That was something I just thought. I was like, wait, why am I doing this the silly way when I can do it this way? So like that, let's have a look at it. If we can, just go out a little bit more. Of course, we'll need this to be a bit more broken down on the grass compared to the other one. So there we go. And from here, it's actually looking pretty good. The important part about this farm is to look at it from afar, being over here, when we're going on this path. So let's go over to the path and take a little bit of a walk past. To be honest, this view is actually very good. This is actually a very, very good view. In fact, I'm happy with this. In fact, picture this just carrying on that way. We'll start putting more fields in with actual wheat, but going down that way, this is going to be very interesting. I'm looking forward to the way it turns out. So what I think the next stage for us, at least over here, is getting that path in. I think it's going to be fairly simple, getting this one in, and we'll have a walkthrough and feel how it works. Slowly coming together. We've got a whole nother chunk done of this place. When you have a look at how we've gone over each of these episodes, getting a piece done, getting another piece done, getting another piece done, it all's just starting to add up, one after the next, until we eventually have a ridiculously big area, which is really the way that that whole area happened there. And this over here, between streams as well. I mean, of course, that's been coming along pretty well. But just in general, going over these pieces little by little, it's starting to come together very, very nicely, specifically from all these angles down below. From the top, I agree it does look kind of weird, but you got to remember, we're not trying to do stuff at the top. We're trying to do stuff from all around the place. And I think doing things around here, look at this, from this kind of an angle, once we've got that rock sorted, that means this whole area from there to about there will be practically finished, and we can just keep going. And of course, we've got plans over here to remove a large chunk of this mountain, and eventually there will be a pretty cool looking windmill. Just prepare yourselves. But of course, as I say, I appreciate all the ideas that you guys come up with for all these different places, and all the small things, the little details that seem kind of obvious when you're not me. Sometimes you just end up getting a bit too involved in one particular thing, and then you just need someone to go ahead and say, listen, Jansey, you need to just put this block in, and bam, that's all you need. Or get rid of this stuff, and that's what it looks like. But just walking down here, I just thought we'd walk down and have a little bit of a look from if you were the farmer. You know, if you were the guy walking through these fields, maybe taking the wheat away. I think this does definitely feel like a path over here. I might get a few more grass blocks in, just some more green to add a bit of color in here. I think I've actually got some, which is pretty lucky. So something like this, maybe, just to create a little bit more color in here. And I also don't want too much, because if we do put these next to here, they will carry on spreading, which is kind of the issue we've got with the river. I overlooked one thing, and that was that the grass over here had grown over to the riverbank. But what we'll do with the river is we're actually going to make it all stone and gravel and make it look like a real deal river, not with grass growing under the water, which I think looks a little bit silly, to be honest. Yeah, with squids in it as well. The way rivers currently are, I don't really like. So I think we can definitely go ahead and fix that up there. What I am looking to do is put in a few more things around the place. For instance, just objects like a wagon, like a cart, like that combine harvester that we were talking about. And by the way, I went ahead and Googled it real quick, and it is the kind of thing I'm thinking of. And I know it doesn't quite fit in with the time period that we might be building this place in, but we also have to sometimes remember that this isn't necessarily in that time period that it looks like it may be in. You know, it's just a bunch of fun. We're just messing around with some ideas, and if some things overlap, that's fine as well. And that's, of course, how we're going to have these big hay bales, which I don't think I actually explicitly mentioned it, but I think they look pretty cool. Kind of different. I think it brings it together. But what I wanted to do is I want to do now something that I wasn't too sure, and I didn't think we would do this episode, but I do want to continue it on because I think it's pretty important to get done. And that is the bridge that'll go from this side over to this side here. And the whole importance about this bridge is it's not going to be grand, so I think it really does do well for this part of our episode, I guess, at least, because of course this is not a big, huge bridge, kind of like this one here. Let me show you the exact bridge. That one was a pretty complicated bridge. You can see it's kind of hard to sometimes see in the video, but you got like these arches, you got things hanging over the sides, a whole bunch more stuff. This one's not going to be anywhere near as flashy as that, because of course we've learnt not everything has to be super flashy, and that's why we're going to go ahead and do it with these things here. So if I could just go ahead, make a fairly straight one, and trust me, we're not going to leave it as like a flat thing like this. It will be one level, but it won't be completely boring, just like a plank going across. Although that probably would add into the fact of it being very, very basic. But I want this to have a little bit more to it. Make it look like it has been anchored in, but only as like a makeshift way of doing it. So if we can do something like that, we could even maybe push it down a little bit as well, as if it's kind of collapsed a little bit like that, and then just pull it along this way. So, well, all right, there we go. We got stuck under there. That's fine. So if we've got this here, we can see it kind of drops down like that. We'll go ahead and make some of these over here just to put them up. Perfect. And there we go. We'll have to get a bit smarter with how we're going to be doing that. In fact, something like that could be pretty good to just get onto that like that. All right, and like that, the very simple bridge is done. And I don't want to focus on this side here just yet, because it's actually not the way that this will be looking. In fact, this is going to be very different to the way this bridge will eventually look. Right now, it's just a matter of getting the bridge done, and it also is a placeholder for this bridge when we eventually do maybe add a few more things to it. But the whole thing with this river is, of course, we want it to be stone and make it very grey and dark at the bottom, kind of like what a river should be, with gravel and stone and pebbles and stuff like that have been washed down. I don't like the idea that the rivers, as I say, are full of clay. Well, that clay kind of makes sense, but the way it turns out, it looks a bit silly. So we may as well give it a little bit of a try for this to see how this will look roughly when we do get this in. And I'm not going to do the whole thing because we do need to do a whole river, so it won't make sense to do like one little piece. But it could bring in our bridge very well, so that will be why we're doing it. And in fact, I've just got rid of that too early. I want this here still. Maybe get ourselves a few more. Oh, okay. Never mind. We don't have any slabs. Okay, we'll have to do this without slabs. That's fine. We'll add slabs in a bit later. So something like that, maybe something over here. We can go ahead and drop that in there. And of course, when the water starts coming past, this whole area is going to start coming to life, I think, because I do want to work out a way of getting the water to flow. And I want it to flow down one block, flow down another block. And when it comes to here, I'm thinking we should try something interesting and try to see if maybe if we had a tree blocking the river like that, we could perhaps drop it up another block just to kind of play a bit with like the viewer's perspective. If they think that this is all still going downhill, even though it's not, that could be kind of cool. So I want to mess around with some of those ideas when we do get to them. If that makes sense, of course. I might be pretty bad at explaining that, but I think it's all making sort of sense. When we go to it, I'm sure it definitely will. So something like that. And of course, bear in mind, we're going to have some seaweed and all that stuff, or coral, and all that stuff is going to be great to get in here. So let's do one last little piece. Some stones, maybe a rock over here just to top this area off. And of course, we don't have any slabs, but that's fine. We'll picture the slabs in here for now. So this area here is practically ready to go on the next stage. So what we've done is we've completed the fields. We've completed the harvested fields. And I know these tufts are kind of weird. Tell me what you think about the tufts. I don't know. I kind of like them. Breaks the area up. But overall, I think we've done very, very well for ourselves. Moving on forward through this big project. And I think the next thing will be getting the river done, getting the rock done, and also just getting a few other small things. For instance, weird implements, the harvester, all that stuff. I think that will work great. But for today, guys, thank you very much for joining me through this part of the build. I hope you guys are enjoying it, and I'll see you in the next one.